Hi everybody, my name is Gary Yao, and today I would like to share with you if there's a housing crash coming, and it can all be explained by supply and demand. Spoiler alert, there's not a crash coming. Housing data actually illustrate that there's not a housing crash on the horizon. But let's take a history. Home prices were surging from 2000 to 2006. Homeowners were sitting back in the recliners watching the home value skyrocket to heaven. It seemed like the housing market was unstoppable. It all came down crumbling down with the beginning of the subprime meltdown in 2007. Values dropped like a rock. Many lost their homes to foreclosure or short sale. Everyone remembered the scars of the Great Recession. Either they were directly affected or happened to someone they knew. Once again, the housing is soaring upward with seemingly no end in sight. Buyers are tripping over each other, willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars above the asking price. Throwing the news of rising inflation and the potential of drastically higher mortgage rates, and the madness must come to a screeching halt soon, right? Even though so many are anticipating and reporting that the housing crash is imminent, it simply is not going to occur. Not now, not in the 6 months, not in the foreseeable future. The Great Recession was triggered by the housing market where everyone could buy a home regardless of their true qualifications. Zero down payment loans, negative ARMs, cash out refinancing, subprime lending, and fudge loan documents all contribute to the astonishing rise in values that inflated the housing bubble that ultimately collapsed in 2007. The housing market crashed and values plunged. What occurred can be explained by looking at supply and demand. When supply rises, meaning a lot of houses are in the market, then the demand drops. The unsold inventory climbs because it's piling on top of each other, more houses in the market. But when supply drops and the demand rises, then the unsold inventory falls, meaning that there's a lot of people wanting to buy the limited amount of goods, in this case houses. The writings was already in the wall a couple years prior to the start of the recession. The housing data illustrates that the market conditions were lining up in favor of buyers. The inventory swelled, but the demand crumbled. As a result, the unsold inventory rose to a phantom height, meaning they were piling on top of each other. Let me give you an idea. Let's divide this in 2006, 2007. All right? Okay. 2006 and 2007, in May of 2006, the average days in the market for inventory was 180 days. Okay, keep this in mind. It was a buyer's market, and it grew by year's end to 263 days, the average days in the market. By 2007, it surpassed March of 2007. It was 400 days in the market. That was the average time of property was in the market. And by August, hopefully you guys can see this, August 2007, it was 550 days. That's an average of 550 days in the market. What does that mean? Contrast that in today's market, and the landscape is entirely different. The inventory is at unprecedented low records, and the demand is fueled by historically low rates of below 3% interest rates. Okay, that actually fueling everything up. Now, let's look at last month. As of time of recording, this is the May 24th. So 2021, and we're looking at April of this year, 2021. We have an average time in the market of 56 days. This is an average on the LA County, right? And it is extremely crazy, nutty, hot sellers market where home values are surging higher every month. In fact, the year over year from last year's growth is about double digits, like 14% growth. Sellers call the shots, and most home sales are closing well above their asking price. It will remain a hot seller's market for the remainder of the year based on the anemic inventory and today's crazy demand. The big difference is, again, supply and demand. Currently, the active inventory is, active is 7,445 listings, okay? That is what's in the market today. Compare that to October, okay? October 2006, there were 20,000 homes listed in the market. In 2007, this was 30,000 listings. You see guys, 30,000 listings. Over 4 times today's supply. Yeah. Now, the current demand in the last 30 days of escrow is 6,746, give or take, escrows, okay? Guess how many escrows were opened in 2006 and 2007? 4,000 escrows on average per month. With an oversupply and weak demand, the unsold inventory reached to a high level prior to the Great Recession, and it led to a massive slide of home values. This is what happened. We have a lot of supply and not a lot of demand. Now, there are a lot of naysayers saying that they're calling for a massive spike in mortgage rates due to inflation. Last week, consumer price index appeared to be soaring out of control with a 4.2% increase over last year. Yet, taking a closer look at the numbers, the Federal Reserve is correct in their anticipation. In fact, the Federal Reserve is calling for a transitory or a short-lived inflation. The rise has to do with the short-term supply chain problems in lumber and a global chip shortage. For example, used cars jumped to 10% as car rental companies clamor to restock their depleted inventories. Sporting events surged 10%. Airline tickets climbed 10%. And hotels, well, you guessed it, they climbed 10%. So everything climbed 10% from the pandemic. These were all discounted prior because of the pandemic. All other goods were unchanged. As a result, mortgage rates have not moved and remain, actually they just remain only 3%. Mortgage rates are forecast to rise to about 3.5%. Actually, in fact, it's already 3.5%, and it's going to remain at this rate until the end of the year, which is going to help improve the economy that is emerging from the pandemic. The rise will not dismantle the housing market. Instead, it will only decelerate the market from an insanely hot seller's market to a regular seller's market of 90 days. So current is 54 days, and it's going to get to 90 days, which is still a seller's market. Bottom line, the housing market is not gonna crash. The inventory is low, the demand is high, and the market time is at all-time lows. Mortgage rates are at a record low level, and buyers must qualify for a mortgage. Therefore, this is going to remain for foreseeable future. My name is Gary Yao, and I will talk to you soon.